A new car arriving into the market is always big news. When that car comes from Maruti Suzuki, it's even bigger news. And when it's the Wagon R, I think, well, then it really becomes the biggest. And my play on that word is very intentional because this is now the big new Wagon R. Yes, I never use the taglines, but in this case, I simply have to because, well, you can instantly see it. The car is definitely bigger than before. And so therefore, perhaps the promise is bigger too. Let's try and find out if that's true and if that's also the perspective the company is bringing into this whole equation. Joining me are the two gentlemen who are very familiar for all of us, Raman-san and Kalsi-san. I think that's the best way to put it because I think the whole country knows you as Raman-san and Kalsi-san now. So there's no need to give your official full names and designations anymore. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time and you know what I said at the start I think is the one big thing that we have straight away noticed. The pictures didn't do it justice. Seeing the car now, was that always, Kalsi-san, let me start with you. Was that always going to be the big focus for you when you said, all right, time to do a new Wagon R?
Well, Siddharth, let me put a right perspective. We launched it in 1999 historically, and in 2 decades the model remained as popular as it was in the beginning. And we have a customer base of now 22 lakhs delighted customers. Though we brought in, say, second generation Wagon R, which sold about 1.3 million cars, having sold 8 lakh cars in the first avatar. So the popularity of the model is so much that there was a lot of pressure on us, keeping our eyes and ears close to the market, that we must give something now different to the customer. So did an extensive research, and what we could understand was that we need to add a lot of style to the vehicle. We need to make it bigger, more spacious, and maybe more powerful. So on all the 3 parameters, we did a lot of work, and finally what our engineering team has delivered is in front of our customers now.
I must share something personal with both of you. It had been about, I think, not even a full week that I had joined NDTV, and my very first car launch was the Wagon R in 1999. So I was absolutely fresh. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was superbly excited that I was getting to attend a car launch. So I'll never forget that launch. It was at Moria, and Mr. Khattar was there, and I still have that little model. It was a little scale model that was given out, so I still have that. So for me, it becomes like there's a little emotional connect to it as well. This point about going bigger on all the parameters that Kalsi-san mentioned, is that also one of the intentional reasons why you're now doing an India-specific Wagon R and not bringing us like the Japanese version anymore?
Yeah, definitely. I think the Indian market today is become big enough where we are making products which are specifically for that. And you have seen that in the makeover which we gave to the Desire. And so Desire has become totally new, different kind of a Desire from what it was. And similar kind of a makeover we wanted to give to the Wagon R, because the customer today and the volume justifies that kind of a requirement. So that's what you see today, that we have made it very specific, moved away from the Japanese specifications and made it India-centric. Definitely, yes.
Now, you mentioned in your presentation, Kalsi-san, that there was also very specific feedback from existing Wagon R users as well as prospective ones, I suppose, on making the car more powerful. You mentioned that now as well. How much of that sort of went into the initial product brief, and at what point did you decide to still do 2 engines instead of just moving to a new one?
Well, our market is quite diverse. There is a certain price sensitivity also associated with this engine size. So we worked on both the options, and certainly the new engine, 1.2 liter K-series engine, is much more powerful. At the same time, we could bring it with a very good fuel efficiency. Bringing in a more powerful engine was very much there in the brief right from the beginning.
I can't wait to drive it. I know I get to do that soon. The other thing I want to quickly ask you is that I'm very happy, and I know that based on the initial social media feedback, a lot of people are very happy that you've done AGS with ZXi. Again, was that something that you knew this time you had to do it?
Well, based on our earlier, model, we had a lot of, say, feedback from the marketplace. So we always work, what the customers' expectations are or what customers' aspirations are. So that's what our guidance or inspiration, I would like to say, was when we introduced it.
Now people are very happy, I can tell you, and they're also happy that you're offering the AGS on both the engines as well. I think that's good feedback straight away. Tell us about the new engine, Raman-san. I mean, what makes it special? What was the specific parameter that was very important from the point of view of keeping the character of the car very intact?
I think two things I'd like to add to what Kalsi-san has said. One is that, we've seen that Wagon R customer comes back and buys a Wagon R. So that's something which is, very strong point. And also today, when he's coming back, there may be a choice which he may be looking for. So we wanted to, apart from the space which is on the vehicle and the comfort and convenience, maybe also looking for a more powerful vehicle, powerful engine. So and what has happened is that we moved away from the K platform of the Japanese specification to a platform in the 5th generation. This platform allowed us this flexibility to have two set of engines and build a 1 liter as well as a 1.2 liter in the same platform. So that was the start point for us, when the marketing told us, okay, this is what is required, so this is one difference. Definitely we were able to build it into that. Secondly, it is the K series as far as the K10 and the K12 is concerned, both are our series production engines. So what we have done essentially is that we have tuned it for, for the vehicle as such, and to get, better performance, fuel efficiency, so that's the, kind of change which has happened as far as the K12 engine is concerned. It's basically a carry forward of our K12 engine as such.
But this fine line that you have to walk between performance and efficiency, I think Maruti has always managed to ace that really well. In the context of this car, given that there was a very specific intent, like with some of the other compacts in the past, it's not necessarily the first thing that you will mention, but here you've very specifically talked about how performance was necessary. Was it a tightrope walk to achieve that big figure on fuel efficiency?
For engineering, always is a tightrope walk, and outgoing Wagon R was at 20.51 kilometers per liter. We had to pull it up, we had to increase it. So 10% improvement was what we were targeting. We're glad we were able to achieve 22.5 on the K10. But having said that, when you have a K12 engine, the customer still also requires, apart from performance, he still requires the fuel efficiency also to be good. And so that's where we had to tweak some of the the transmission parameters in order to give a good acceleration feel, but not compromise too much on the fuel efficiency. So we were able to get the efficiency of the 4-cylinder engine is good. We were able to get that 21.5 kilometer per liter. So the choice today is available to a customer that if he wants a more fuel efficient vehicle or a more powerful vehicle.
No, and again, I'll have to wait till I drive it, but I'm excited to know that you've put that performance parameter at the sort of the start of things. AGS or AMT, what's the expectation that you have? I mean, considering where the market was when you first did the AMT on the Wagon R, I think today things are very different. The buyer is also very sort of well tuned to this phenomenon. So, are you expecting a big sizable chunk to be AMT this time?
Well, when we introduced...
Your variant mix indicates that to me,
yes,
which is why I'm asking.
When we introduced it, customers had a lot of apprehensions, you are right. And they had apprehensions about fuel efficiency, they had apprehensions about, pickup. And finally, once they, took the test drives, they could realize that all this was a myth. And there were apprehensions about maintenance or maintainability of, this thing AGS as well. But once we had, demolished all these myths, then the penetration of AGS has increased a lot. And particularly if a customer takes a test drive between manual and AGS, he certainly, goes in for AGS. So with that kind of a focus, already there are some models where we have 30% penetration on AGS. So with this, we have similar kind of expectations. And I'm sure that customers would definitely, this thing, like the AGS version.
But so you'll be in the same region, you think, about 30-odd%?
Yes.
All right, because that's also what we're seeing as a trend across the segment. The gearbox itself, what sort of changes or what sort of tuning parameters have you looked at for the AGS? Because again, compared to where we were when you first introduced it, today it's a lot better, it's a lot smoother. The expectation from this car is also going to be that. I think in the segment as well that's happening, right? A lot of the competition cars also, the AMTs are getting much better. Anything specific on this one?
Nothing very specific, maybe gear ratios, there was a little change, and definitely calibration was done specifically for this vehicle. The tire sizes are bigger, platform is new, so we had to calibrate that. And for the Indian customer requirement, I think making the two pedal, something which is comfortable to drive, and on the Indian stop go traffic was the key point which we had to keep in mind. And so therefore definitely I'm sure when you do the test drive, I'm sure I'll look forward to your feedback, but I believe that it's a step up in the right direction.
Your team already has my requests that I want to drive both, so manual and AMT. So yeah, I'll definitely tell you what I think. The other thing that's kind of changed, I think, I won't say that the Wagon R customer was necessarily somebody who's conservative, because I think given the fact that it was a sort of, clutter breaking design and a very specific kind of buyer who still, I think, wouldn't buy one of your other more modern cars and still buy the Wagon R because of that tall boy shape. Having said that, I think a lot of customers today are getting more, let's say, swayed by style and color and things like that. How did you come up with that balance of tall boy, very obvious on good space, and yet stylish?
The key point was that the 5th generation platform allowed us to go 140 millimeters wider. And once you make it wider, what we were able to do is provide a space on the inside at the shoulder room side. However, as you said, styling is given a preference even in a Wagon R kind of a vehicle, and that's the need and the requirement of the market. So at the glass area, that is where the tumble was provided, and that provided that dynamic look to the car, and that kind of changed the character and made it more passenger car like. And so that's the kind of change which you see. So therefore it looks very wide, but it also looks passenger car like. It kind of hides the tall boy in some way, but it's still a tall boy, so it carries that character. So so that's the kind of thing, the challenge which we had to make that proportions right. And so somewhere I think we have achieved it, and I'm sure the customers are going to appreciate it.
You know how obsessed I am with that area. So and I told you this when we first met today, that seeing the pictures is one thing, but when you see the car actually, that sense of width and all that sculpting in the metal really comes through. And I know I can say this very confidently, it's the best looking Wagon R yet.
Yeah, and actually in the body sections, it made more trapezoidal, and so make it stronger, and so robust, energetic was the theme which we had. So that's somewhere as you can see in the.
Yeah, it looks strong. It looks
strong. Yes.
The other thing which has been happening, of course, for Maruti in particular, is iCreate. We've seen customization becoming such a big part of the conversation, even if not the sales, across every model. On this model, given the kind of buyer profile, especially when you also showed us the kind of people you're expecting will be excited by this car, will that become a big consideration maybe a little bit later?
Well, the customer today wants to reflect his style in the car that is buying, apart from, say, the basic product which is made available to him. So that part we have already taken care of in terms of styling, in terms of doing a sort of customization at a mass level, where what customer wanted and what we are giving him. So to that extent we have done it. But when it comes to say additional fitments and say fitting other accessories, certainly Wagon R gives a very good scope to the customer to this thing manage in terms of say body graphics, or as far as functional part is concerned, that customization, I think the scope is limited because the kind of features which we have given, those are amazing. If we talk about Smart Play Studio, or we talk about say managing the space within the vehicle. So maybe the cosmetic changes customer can always go in for, and we have brought out an accessory package for the customer where he can pick and choose and do that customization in the marketplace.
So that's not surprising, I suppose. The point about that infotainment system being different now, and even the interface from what you've showed us and whatever little I've seen so far on the car, it's not a carryover from the other models as we've seen in the past. Why was that necessary? Why was it important to have that new sort of appeal? And also, why on this car?
Well, we've developed this new infotainment system, and it's something which we have integrated with the Wagon R product schedule. Key point with this is that it is connected to the CAN, and it is also connected to the cloud. So apart from Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you also have Suzuki Smart Studio. So you have AHA integrated into it. You can actually integrate 3 phones, which can one can with one you can call, one can navigate, and one can stream music. So that's the kind of flexibility this platform allows. And so for the new age customer of India, I think this is a start point for us. Definitely the functionalities can be more on this, and definitely infotainment is likely to grow as the connected customer requirement is becoming stronger.
So it's a step up from what you were doing till now.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm assuming we'll start to see it on the rest of the portfolio soon enough. I won't ask you when, don't worry.
Thank you.
But no, but it's good to know that you're doing that. The other aspect of that is that whole, the need to, let's say, be connected all the time. You mentioned that you can have more than one gadget connected to the car. A lot of this is obviously feedback that you're also getting from the Indian market, not just global trends. All of this development, therefore, then, was it carried out here?
Well, it was done jointly with between Maruti as well as Maruti Suzuki and Suzuki, and we jointly work on this. But predominantly, a lot of this inputs of the requirements and development with the supplier, all of that integration of the various aspects, because it has got also maps separately. You can actually download, and in where connectivity is not there, you can actually download, and so those kind of functionalities have been built into that. So I think this is all very India-centric requirements which have been actually built, and I'm sure we'll try to show you more about this when you come for the drive.
Yeah, for sure. You're also going to be at the drive, right? So yeah, maybe we can check this out. But the question then I have, obviously, as a follow-up to that is, it indicates to us the fact that you're making these investments towards all of this new technology. The offtake of the higher variants, therefore, is just growing rapidly, isn't it? I mean, even on a model like Wagon R, which was bread and butter, a lot of talk about how pricing is very key. Even here, do you expect higher variants to do better?
Yes, certainly, Siddharth, you have touched upon it, that premiumization of the market is happening. So today, customer, he wants, even though he may be an entry-level customer, but he does not want to compromise on the features, on the functionality of the vehicles. And when it comes to price, he tries to translate the whole thing into EMI. How much impact it will have on the EMI if he goes in for the higher variant. So from that point of view, I think customer wants a very, feature-packed product, and the trend is moving in that direction. So we expect that on the higher-end versions, VXI and ZXI, there would be a gradual shift in that direction.
All right. One thing I simply cannot not talk about is safety. I saw your presentation mentions a lot of it is standard. I think for the segment also you've done really well with the dual airbags and ABS. It's not the case with some of your rivals. When you went into this, again, the philosophy is so different at the company today. We've seen that with all your products of late. Now you're thinking crash testing, you're thinking of pedestrian safety. How much of that focus was on this car? I'm assuming a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, everything was there. I mean, it's offset compliant, it is side impact compliant, it is pedestrian compliant. It has the ABS, which is now going to become also a regulation. It has also got speed limiter, it has got reverse parking sensors. So all of it has already been actually built in much before the timelines are there. So obviously, I think today safety is very key, important for us, and the customer today, needs to be, I believe, also to be educated more about this. We can provide a lot of things on the vehicle side, but I also believe, and I'm sure you're doing that in some way, and we are also doing it in some way, that we need to educate customers on safety. I think that's very important.
I can't agree more. You know that already about me.
Yes.
Is the 1.2, the K12, is it BS6 ready, or how will that work out next year?
Well, as far as BS6 development is concerned, we are working on all our products, and definitely much before the deadline, because now it's date of sale. Yeah. So we need to ensure that all the products are there, and we have more than 50 variants, engine variant as well as vehicle variant. So which means that one variant a week I need to do. So I'm actually having sleepless nights,
I can imagine.
trying to ensure that. But yes, having said that, yes, we will ensure that the BS6 is made available for our customers well in time.
All right, I'm almost out of time. I know you both have a very busy day. One last question I'm going to ask you, Kalsi-san, about pricing. Always a lot of pressure on you for pricing for any model, I know, but Wagon R becomes almost double pressure in some senses. I mean, we've seen the prices. I think the reactions so far have been positive. Your take?
That's always our intent, that we should provide the best products to our customers, and also at the same time they should be at an affordable price. So we have done that, this thing rightly on Wagon R, and I am sure that pricing is quite aggressive, and certainly the acceptability, what we could sense today also, after we displayed the prices, this thing feedback is positive, and moving forward, we expect that this car, with all these features, all these functions, and the price point at which we have positioned it, will surpass the benchmarks in terms of numbers set by the outgoing Wagon R.
You said first million in 12 years, second million in 6 years now.
That's right.
There's pressure on this one to do it in 3 maybe. I won't put that pressure on you, but I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it's going to move faster, and I don't need to say it, but all the very best with the new car. Thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Having both of you together is becoming like a tradition for me, so I appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Thank you so much.